So in this video, we are going to look at the demonstration of our banking database application, which has been developed using PHP, MySQL, and HTML. So this is the schema that we have already seen regarding the banking database. So as we have already observed, the schema has got 5 different tables. So branch, account, depositor, customer, loan, and borrower. So branch has branch name, branch city, assets. Account has account number, branch name, and balance. Depositor has customer name and account number. Customer has customer name, street, city. Loan has loan number, branch name, and amount. And borrower has customer name and loan number. So the tables have already been created in the MySQL database. In the previous video, you can watch that. And the primary keys and foreign key, all of them have been specified, and the values have also been inserted. Okay, but to insert the values, previously we had used the DML statements like insert in order to insert the values. Okay, but what has to happen is we have to develop an application that will interact with our MySQL. Okay, and for that purpose, to create the front end of our project, we will be actually making use of the PHP and HTML. Okay, so to develop our front end that is required for our application, we will be making use of PHP and HTML. So MySQL, which is our database, so that will become our backend. Okay, so this is the backend of our project that contains the database. So we will not have direct interaction with it as we have done in our previous video. So we will use the front end. Okay, so we are going to use the front end, or we are going to use our application in order to interact with our database. Okay, so this is the banking database, and these are the functionalities that are expected from our applications. You can also consider these things as the functional requirements of your project, or what your project is supposed to do, or what your application is supposed to do. Okay, so we have seen that the database contains the following tables or following relations. So we have to add details to this table. Okay, like for example, I may have to add values to the branch table. I may have to add values to the account table. I may have to add new customers to the table. So all of these things are a requirement. So basically in our application, we'll be concentrating on all the operations, all the DML operations. Okay, like for example, we are going to insert values, or we are going to concentrate on insertion operation. Okay, we are going to concentrate on deletion if required. Okay, so as of now, deletion is not necessary because we may have to retain the information, but if it is required, we'll also concentrate on deletion. And other thing is we may have to update. Okay, we have to demonstrate updation operation, and we have to also demonstrate retrieval. So these 4 operations is what we are worried about. Now, depending upon our requirement, we have to plan our application in such a way that all these 4 operations are incorporated in the application, and they are demonstrated properly. Okay, like when it comes to insertion, for example, we have to insert values into branch, we have to insert values into account, we have to insert values into customer, depositor, loan, borrower, etc. Okay, when it comes to deletion, okay, so what are the possibilities that you are going to delete values from a bank database? Okay, normally we want all the information that is present, right, for every transaction that has taken place, the every customer that is present, okay, every account that the bank maintains, all of them are actually required. So as of now, we may not find any operation, or we may not find any table in which we may perform this deletion operation. However, if required, if necessary, for example, if you want to delete a particular branch, okay, then that can be done. If you want to delete a particular account, okay, or maybe, for example, when a loan has been cleared, okay, then in that case you can delete that particular loan account. Okay, but however, normally banks don't do that because they have to keep track of all the information. But if other than any banking application, if you want to consider deletion operation, then that also needs to be demonstrated. Okay, when it comes to updation with respect to the bank database, okay, so here we don't have much details, okay, because it's a sample schema that we have taken. But suppose if the schema contained the actual customer details, like customer name, customer name is there, customer's phone number or customer's address or maybe his Aadhaar number or something like that, then in that case, the customer may ask for updation. So in that case, the customer's details can be updated. Okay. Or whenever you are performing an operation, like it may be a credit operation or it may be a debit operation with respect to an account. So that also causes updation. Okay. So like this, there may be several operations, updation operations that can be performed on these relations. Okay. You can demonstrate a few. And of course, the main aim of storing information in the database is obviously for retrieval. So you may have to perform or demonstrate the retrieval operation. So we are going to also add this retrieval feature in our banking database. Now, what type of retrieval can be performed? Like for example, I want to view the account details, right? So I want to view the account details of a particular customer. Okay, so before doing an operation, I may check. Okay, or my user may be interested in looking into what are the details of his account. Okay, so that is one thing. And the second thing is user may be interested in the transactions that has already taken place. So he may want to know what are the transactions that has been done in his particular account. Okay, or maybe the clerk or the admin also is interested in looking into the transactions that has been performed. Okay, along with that, you may want to retrieve the details of loan information. You may want to retrieve the details of branch. Okay, like this, several retrieval operations can also be performed and demonstrated. So all these operations need to be considered and they need to be present in your application or whatever application you are developing. So all these operations must be supported. Okay, but as I said, in our case, we may not stress that much on deletion, but deletion is also somewhat similar to updation. So we will also look into that if required. Okay, but you are supposed to demonstrate these operations in your application. So based on that, we have designed the following functionalities for our project. So whoever it is who is using this application will be able to add the branch details. So we have to add the customer details. We have to create an account for registered users. We have to add the loan details and loan account details. Okay, and then we are supposed to perform operations like credit and debit. Of course, as I said, you are supposed to view the account details. It may be either a user or a clerk, and you are supposed to also view the transactions that has been performed on a particular account. Okay, so these are all the functionalities that are expected. You can also call these as functional requirements of your project. Okay, so based on those functional requirements, we have generated these use cases. Okay, so right now the use case is only for an admin or a clerk. So similar use cases can be developed for the user or maybe for the customers. Okay, or specifically you can design use cases for particular employees of the bank. Like for example, a manager might be able to do more things when compared to a clerk. Okay, a user may be able to do less when compared to a clerk. Maybe he's only able to view or view the information or generate reports. Okay, or maybe he's able to initiate a transaction. Okay, so like that, some use cases can be developed. So in this demonstration, we will just look into what are the functionalities that has been given for an administrator, or you can consider them as a clerk. Basically, who operates the application or who operates the computer on which the application resides. Okay, so what are the operations? So you will be able to add branch, you will be able to add a customer, you will be able to add account, also add loan details. So you will be able to view the details of an account, and of course you will be able to generate the report. Okay, so one by one we will demonstrate regarding how the operations have been.
So before we look into the project demonstration, here are a few things that have been considered in the implementation. The first thing is that every user who is using the system, be it an administrator or clerk, so he is supposed to have valid credentials. Okay, so if he gives valid credentials, then only he will be able to access the home page of the project. So if the user does not have valid credentials, then he will not be allowed to log into the system. And if you want to create new users, then there is a provision for every user to register or sign up. So give his details. So his details are going to be recorded. So once he has registered or signed up, then he can give proper credentials to access the home page. So this is one thing that has been considered as one of the starting point of our project. The second thing is, once the user access the home page, then in the home page he will have all the details. Okay, so all the operations that he can perform, mainly he will be performing additions to all the tables. Like for example, it can be the branch table, it can be the loan table, it can be the account table. So these are the things that you will be able to add information to, and of course the customer table as well. And he will be able to update few tables, especially the account table with the credit or debit operation. So main purpose of having an account is to perform these two operations. So hence these credit and debit operations will update the account table, and also we'll be able to view the details of accounts, and you will also be able to generate the reports. So generate the reports in the sense, generate the reports of transactions. Okay, I'll write it as TRX. So these are all some of the things that will be visible to the administrator or to the clerk who is going to access the home page through valid credentials. So now let us have a look at how the project is going to be working. So first of all, let us go back to our web server. So I'm clicking on localhost, and I'll also have access to phpMyAdmin to show you the tables. So in the previous video, we had actually seen that we had created the database and inserted values into the table as well, right? So we have the account tables, we have the borrower, we have the branch, we have the customer, we have the depositor, and we have the loan. So two extra tables I have added. One table is the user information table, which actually keeps track of credentials of users, mainly the admin and clerks. And it can also be tweaked in order to also consider customer information. Okay, then we have one more table which is called as the logs. So this is the table that will actually keep track of the transactions. So whatever transactions has been done on a particular day, that transaction details will be recorded in this table. And how this has been implemented, we'll discuss that shortly during the credit and debit operation implementation. So as you can observe here, all the tables have some values. Of course, this is the account table, so the account table has values. Similarly, we have also inserted values to borrower, branch, customer, and depositor, as well as loan. But all these values were actually inserted from the backend. So we had used this SQL prompt, and we had used the insert query in order to insert the values into the database. But we are not supposed to do that. We are not supposed to interact with the database directly. We will be doing it through our application. Okay, now the application has already been developed, and it has been stored in the www directory of our WAMP server. So this is the DBMS project, and these are all the files using which we have implemented this project. So let us have a look at one by one. So to start the project, because we're supposed to start with the login page. So the project is DBMS project, and the first page of the project is the login page. Okay, so this is the login page, just a very simple interface asking for the username and the password. So you're supposed to provide the username and password. Okay, so one thing that you always need to consider is what happens if you don't give proper values to your application. Okay, like for example, here it is expecting for me to give username and password. Sometimes what might happen is you might click on submit without giving these values. So how will you handle those situations? So if you don't give values here, then obviously it will result in an error in the backend. Okay, so that's why you are supposed to do this kind of testing, and you should ensure that your application does not fail whenever you don't give values. So for example, here if I don't give values and if I click on submit, as you can observe, it is telling me that you have to fill out this particular field. So this is normally how things happen in other applications as well. Whenever you need some information, you are supposed to give that. So your application has to prompt you to give those values or credentials. Okay, so right now I'm supposed to give credentials. So first let me give a wrong information and click on submit and check whether this application works or not. So I'm giving submit, and as you can observe, it says that login has actually failed. Okay, so login has failed because I gave the wrong details. So now it is taking me back to my login page again. Until and unless I give proper values, it will not log into the system. Okay, so now I will give the proper credentials. Now it says login successful. And now we have been presented with the home page of the product. Of course, very simple looking, very minimalistic design. So as you can observe, it is capable of creating an account, it's capable of debiting an account or creating and debiting from an account. You're able to view account details, you're able to sanction a particular loan or add details to your loan account, and you're supposed to add branch also, and you'll be capable of generating the reports as well. So one by one we will demonstrate how each operation is going to take place. So let us start with the create account. So if I click on create account here, first of all, we should know for whom we are creating this account for. So we are supposed to fill up the customer details, right? So once again, if I click values without click submit button without any values, it will ask me to, or it will prompt me to fill in these values. So everything that is required has been done like this. So let me add a customer. So let me add one customer. Name is Rahul, and street is maybe some BB street. Okay, city I will add, and now I'm going to click on submit. So since we are creating an account, so first the customer details need to be filled in. So customer has been added successfully. Okay, and now we are entering into step number 2. So now we have to supposed to create an account for that particular customer. Okay, so we'll create an account for him. So I have to give an account number. Of course this can be done automatically also, but I am now using a manual technique to create an account. So let me create an account called as maybe something like 2233. Okay, so I'll give a 4-digit number. So I have to give a branch name. So you are supposed to give an already existing branch name. So if you look into the branch table, right, so as you can observe, there are so many branches here. So I will use the city branch. Okay, I'll create this account in city branch. So I'll give city branch. Okay, so I'm giving city branch, right? So I'm giving city branch here. So you're supposed to create an account with a minimum balance. So let me assume that the customer has already deposited 500 rupees as minimum balance. So now I'm giving that detail. So clicking on submit will take me to my next page where you are able to map the account with the customer. As you can see here, the account has already been created. So we'll now map the account. So currently created account is 2233. So of course the name of the customer is here Rahul. So I will add Rahul here. So now we are supposed to map this account. Okay, so as soon as I map this account, the depositor table will be filled up. So as you can observe here, the depositor table does not contain a value Rahul. So as soon as I map here, okay, so account creation process is going to be completed. So now we have actually created the account. So if you come back here and if you refresh this page, you can observe Rahul and 2233 account has been created. So the one that has been highlighted here has been created. So account creation has been done. So it's a 3-step process. So first you are supposed to create an account, to create the customer details, and then you have to create an account. Then you are supposed to map the details into the customer and the account related information. Okay. Next is, now let us view the account detail. So what is the account number? Account number is 2233, and we already know that it's a savings account. You can have also have different types of account, but in our table we did not keep that information, therefore we'll just keep it as savings. So if I click on submit, as you can observe, the account details are visible. Of course, minimum details are visible here. You can also add more information, but right now we have just displayed the account number, the branch name, and the balance. Okay, so going back, we are also have other operations to demonstrate. Okay, so I'll also add demonstrate the add branch. So if I click on add branch, as usual, you'll get a page that will ask you to enter the branch name. Okay, so let us enter the branch name. So I'll just put this as some state branch. City is okay. Assets are around 5 lakhs, okay, or 50 lakhs. So submit. So branch has been added successfully. So how can I know that branch has been added? So of course, if I go to the branch table, as you can observe, state branch has been added. At the end, state branch has been added, right? So like this, you can create an account and you can add a branch to your account. Okay, or branch to your bank database, right? So now to demonstrate the credit and the debit operation. So how do we demonstrate the credit and the debit operation? So how do we perform an operation, credit or debit? So you're supposed to give the account number, right? So account number currently is 2233. Now let me assume that the customer is trying to deposit some amount into his account. So it's a credit operation. So we are supposed to select the credit operation and click on submit. So now we can see that the details of the account are visible here. Of course, these are not editable, so you can't change the details. Only you can give the amount which has to be credited for your account. So right now, let us assume that the user is currently trying to credit around 5,000 rupees. So let me go back to the database, and if I check the account details, so account 2233, right? So account 2233 has currently 500 rupees. Okay, so it has currently 500 rupees because it's a newly created account. So now I'm supposed to credit 5,000 rupees to it. So I'm expecting a balance of 5,500 after this operation. So submitted, transaction is completed. So if I click on OK, I go back to the previous home page. But whether the data has been updated or not. So if I go back to the account table now we can observe that the account 2233 has been added with 5,000 rupees. So the new balance now is 5,500. Okay, so I can perform a similar operation for debit. So if I click on the same account, but right now I want to withdraw the amount. Okay, so if I withdraw the amount, so I'm performing a debit operation. So submit, once again, non-editable details, but now I will give the amount to be debited. So what is the amount to be debited? Let me assume that I'm taking 2,500 from the account. So if now the question is, if I give more than 5,500, so what will happen? Of course, the transaction has to be declined. Okay, so that also the check has already been done. So right now I'll just demonstrate for 2,500. So 2,500. So transaction is completed. So we'll go back to the home page. But whether the changes have been made or not, yes, see here the change has been made and the balance is now 3,000 because out of 5,500, 2,500 rupees have been withdrawn. So this is how the credit and the debit operation has been performed. Now let me demonstrate that minimum balance one. Minimum balance that we have considered is 500, I believe. So let me give the same account 2233. So I'm performing a debit operation. So let me try to withdraw 5,000 rupees from it. Of course, only balance is 3,000, right? So if I submit, as you can observe, it shows that the transaction actually failed because you are going beyond the minimum balance of the account. So no operation is going to be performed. So you have to repeat the operation again, and you are supposed to give a amount that is more than the minimum balance. Okay, like for example, if I try again 2233 debit operation, I will now try to record, sorry, 500 rupees, I believe. Balance has been changed. Just a second. Okay, sorry. So I think number here. Some there. Okay. So anyhow, the checking is being done. That's not a problem. So 3000. So now I'll press 500 rupees to withdraw. So if I give, then it shows that transaction is complete. So of course now the account should be debited with 500. Okay. So this is how the operation is performed. So we have demonstrated the create operation for account, customer, and branch. Okay, so now same thing applies for creating a loan as well. Okay, like for example, I can create a loan. For example, let me assume 3333. I believe 3333 loan is not there. Okay, it's already there. So I'll give a new number 8888. Okay, so in which branch you are supposed to give the loan? So I'll just select GBBR, and what is the loan amount? I'll just give 50,000 rupees. So I'm submitting. So loan account has been created, but of course now it has to be mapped to a customer, right? So similar to how we mapped account with the customer, we are also going to map the loan account to the customer. So right now the newly created loan account is 8888. So the customer, let me assume, is Rahul, who has newly created this account. So if I map now, so loan account creation is successful. Okay, so as you can observe here, in the loan account we have got the details, and in the borrower also we have recorded that Rahul has taken the loan account 8888. Okay, so this is how the operations have been demonstrated simply. Now let me also show you the reports option, generating the reports. So this is normally done in all the banks. Maybe at the end of the day they will take a report. So let me click on 1 as the start date, and let me click on 2 as the end date. Okay, so from 1/1/2021 to 2/1/2021, whatever transactions has occurred, so all those information I want to retrieve from the database. So I will click on generate. So now we can observe that what are all the operations that has been taken place. So all those have been mentioned here. Okay, so of course this is one mistake that needs to be corrected. We'll do that as we look into our coding. But now we can observe that what is the time of operation, what is the date of operation, and what type of operation has been performed. So credit or debit operation, and what is the account number on which these operations have been performed. So what is the old balance and what is the new balance. So all those things have been recorded here, right? So if I go back to home page, then these are the operations that you will be able to perform. So if I click on log out now, so you'll be logging out of the system, and you will be entering the login page. Once again, you're supposed to give in the proper credentials. Now what if you are a new user? So if you are a new user, you're supposed to click here and give some information. Okay, like for example, I'll give test. So of course you're supposed to give email, and check, look here, if I don't give email with proper uh, terms, then it will say that you are supposed to include these things. Okay, so all these things are very easy to do. I'll show you how to demonstrate that. So I will give a proper email value, and now I will click submit. So new user has been recorded successfully. So now if he wants to log in and gain access, then he can give his credentials and log into the system. So you can observe login is successful. So once again, the new user is able to access all the operations that have been demonstrated, right? So this is the short demo of what your project might look like, or what the banking database look like. A similar application can be generated for any database project. So in our next video, we will look at how we are going to develop the application using PHP and MySQL.